Have you ever wondered why someone who knows how to make money can still feel trapped by the way that money is built? Have you ever seen a great chance, known exactly what to do, and still had to wait for a bank, a sale, or someone else's yes? If your income slowed tomorrow, would your money keep working, or would the whole plan begin to just pull against itself? And after everything you've built, do you truly have wealth? Or do you own a large group of valuable things that were never designed to work together? You did not get where you are by luck. You worked hard when no one was watching. You took risks that other people just wouldn't take. You solved hard problems. You made choices that friends and family definitely didn't understand. You kept going through loss, doubt, stress, failure. You learned how to create value and the market paid you for it. So really isn't about taking away from you what you've already built. You earned it. But there may be a part of your financial life that hasn't caught up with the person that you've become. You may know how to make money. You may own a business, real estate, stocks, retirement accounts, and other things that are worth a great deal. Your income may be high. Your net worth may be strong. But here is the question. Have you built wealth? Or have you built a large group of valuable things? Those are not always the same. Before you spend your life building wealth, you should make sure that you know what wealth is, because the meaning you accept becomes the plan that you follow, and the plan that you follow decides where you end up. Definitions determine destinations. Think about a builder. He can work hard, he can hire great people, he can buy the best wood, steel, stone, and all the best tools. But if the plan is wrong, more work is not going to save the building. It's only going to help him build the wrong thing faster. Money matters, income matters, assets matter, net worth matters, but they are not wealth itself. These are things that wealth can produce. They're signs that value was created. They can store value. They can help you create more value, but they are not the source. And when we mistake the signs of wealth for wealth itself, we can spend years adding more money, more accounts, and more assets without ever asking the deeper question: what created all of this in the first place? And what is wealth? Here is the meaning of wealth that guides everything I teach. Wealth is your willingness and ability to create value for someone other than yourself. Every single part of that sentence that I just said matters. First, willingness. Willingness means that you care enough to look beyond yourself. You're willing to solve a problem. You're willing to make someone else's life better. And you're willing to carry some of the weight so that another person can move forward. But the desire to help is not enough. You also need ability. Ability means that you've built the skill to help. You've learned, you've practiced. You've failed and you've grown. You know how to see a real problem and do something useful about it. Willingness without ability may come from a good heart, but a good heart alone is not going to solve the problem. Ability without willingness is also not enough. You may have great skill, but skill that is never used to help somebody creates no value. Wealth is found where the two come together. You're willing to help, you're able to help, and someone's life becomes better because you did. That means that wealth is not first found in a bank account, and it's not first found in a stock account, and it's not first found in a business or a home or a piece of land. See, those things may come from wealth, and they may hold what wealth has produced, but they are not where wealth comes from. Wealth begins in the person. It begins in your choice to serve and in your power to do it well. Think about this. A person may own a great deal of money, but have no idea how to create it again. Another person may lose money, but still may have the skill, the trust, the wisdom, the network, and the strength to create value again. That doesn't mean that they are sure to win it all back. It means something even simpler. What you own and what you can create are not the same thing. Money can be lost, assets can fall in value, a business can fail, but the skill to solve problems, serve people, and create value is the spring from which all the money can flow again. So money matters, but money is not the source. You are. Your willingness to serve is part of your wealth. Your skill to serve is also part of your wealth. And when those two come together to make another person's life better, value is created. That is where wealth begins. So if money is not wealth itself, what is money? And why does it still matter so much? Well, imagine two towns. The first town has a huge pool of water, but the spring that once filled it, it's gone dry. The second town only has a small pool, but beneath it, There's a strong spring that keeps bringing up fresh water. Which town has more water today? The first one. But which town has the stronger future? The second one. The first town has more stored water. The second town still has the power to make more. Money works much the same way. The money in your bank account matters. It can feed your family, it can fund your plans, and it can help you through hard times. Not to mention, it can also give you a lot more choices. But the money in the account is not the source. It is the result of the value that you created before. That money cannot see the next problem. And it really cannot learn a new skill, and it cannot build trust, and it cannot lead a team. It cannot serve the next customer, and it really cannot even create the next answer. You can. Your team can. Your skill, wisdom, work, and care can create value again. The pool is what has already been stored. The spring is the power to keep producing. Both matter. A wise person doesn't ignore the pool. They protect it, and then they use it with care, and they make sure that it doesn't run dry. But they also never mistake the pool for the spring. When you mistake the money for the source, you may spend all your time watching what you have while failing to grow the person who created it. Money stores the proof of value that you created before. Wealth is your power to create value again. So how does that power grow? Your wealth grows as your power to help people grows. It starts with willingness. You care enough to ask, what problem can I solve? What pain can I remove? What can I make faster, safer, easier, or better? How can I help someone move from where they are to where they want to be? Then comes ability. You build the skill to give them a real answer. You study, you practice, you make mistakes, you learn from them, you get better. You begin to see things that other people miss. You learn how to solve a problem with more speed, more care, and less waste. That is how ability grows. But there is another part. The value that you create must be real to the person that you solve. Hard work alone does not create value. Trust me. Good intent alone doesn't create value. Building something you love does not mean that another person needs it. Value is created when someone is truly helped, or a problem is solved, or a burden is made lighter, or a loss is stopped, time is saved, or money is made, fear is reduced, or a better future is made possible. That is why wealth is about people. You cannot create value alone in a room. You create value when you know that what you can do makes life better for someone else. And that value grows in two ways. First, it grows with depth. That means the help becomes greater. You remove more pain. You help create a better result. Second, it grows in reach. That means more people can receive the help. So you may begin by helping one person, then 10, then 100, then 1,000, then 1,000,000. The goal is not to reach more people while giving less. The goal is to serve more people without making the help worse. That is one of the great tasks of an entrepreneur. You take something that works and build a way for more people to receive it. That is why entrepreneurs really matter. At their best, they do more than make money. They solve problems. They carry risk. They build tools, teams, goods, services, all these things that make life better. And the greater the value they create, the more people they create it for, the more wealth they can build. So ask yourself, what problem can I solve well? Whose life becomes better because I can solve it? Am I getting better at solving it? Can I help more people without giving them less? Those are not just business questions. Those are wealth architect questions. And I didn't come to these ideas because I wanted some new phrase or something. I came to them because the old meaning of wealth stopped making sense to me, even in my own life. Now, I did not begin with this view of wealth. I was told that wealth meant money and that wealth meant more income, more assets, a larger net worth. And when I entered the world of financial services, of money, finance, much of what I saw seemed to support that idea. Earn more, save more, invest more, build the account, grow the number. So that's what I believed. And I believed it with a good heart, I believe. I wanted to help people, and I wanted families to be safe. And I wanted people to make wise choices with what they had earned. But over time, I began to see a gap. You see, some people had money, but did not know how to create value again. Some people had assets, but they couldn't reach their money when they needed it. Some people looked strong on paper, but they still felt trapped. And some people had lost money, yet still had the skill, the trust, the wisdom, the network, and the strength to build again. That forced me to ask a really hard question. Was I calling the result wealth while missing the source? The more I looked, the harder it became to ignore. Money mattered, of course. Assets matter, of course. Saving mattered. Investing mattered. But none of those things could explain why one person could lose almost everything and build again, while another person could receive a great deal and just slowly lose it. The difference was not only in what they owned, the difference was in who they had become. And the difference was in, things like what they knew, what they could do, how they could help, what problems they could solve, and what trust they had earned, what they could build again and again and again. So that was when the old meaning of wealth began to fall apart for me. But I also had to be honest about something else. It was easy to look at other people and say that their plan was missing something. It was harder to look at my own life. I had to ask, was I building a life that looked strong, or was I building one that could stay strong? Was I only helping people gather more financial things, or was I helping them build a clear plan for how those things should work? Was I teaching people how to grow in number, or how to build a life with more choice, more control, and less fear? So all of those questions changed the way I saw money. They changed the way that I saw wealth, and they changed the kind of work I believed I was called to do. Because once you see that money is not the source, another question shows up. What should happen to the money after that value's been created? Entrepreneurs understand how to create value. They do it every day. They see a problem, they build an answer, they take a risk before they even know how it's going to end up. They hire people, they serve customers, they work late, they lose sleep, they make choices. Again, they make choices that their friends and family will never understand. And over time, they get good. They learn how to move fast. They learn how to make hard choices. They learn how to act when other people freeze. That skill was not given to them. They earned it. But there is this strange thing that can happen. A person can become very good at making money while never being taught what to do with it once it arrives. They may build a strong business. They may own real estate. They may have stocks, retirement accounts, cash, assets, all that stuff. They may earn more in 1 year than most people earn in 10. Yet much of what they own may still be hard to reach. The money may be there, but it may be tied up. It may be locked inside of a business. It may be sitting in an account that brings a cost when it's touched. It may require a sale. It may require a bank. It may require someone else to say yes. So the entrepreneur faces a painful gap. They have become the kind of person who can act, but their money may not be able to move when they're ready. They can see the deal. They can judge the risk. They can make the choice, but the money is late, or it's trapped, or it's waiting for approval. This is why a high income does not always create freedom. You can make a great deal of money and still depend on next month's work. You can own a lot of things and still feel short on cash. You can have a high net worth and still be unable to move without selling something. You can look really wealthy and still be forced to wait. That does not mean that you have failed. It does not mean that you've made foolish choices. It means that you may have learned how to create value before you learned how to build a system around what that value produced. And that is a very different problem. It is not first an income problem. It's not even an effort problem. It's not even an investment problem. It is a structure problem. The person has grown. The business has grown. The income has grown, but the plan for the money hasn't grown with them. That is the gap that a wealth architect must learn to close, because creating value is only the first part. The money that comes from that value must be given a job. And once money has a job, it becomes something more. Once value has been created, something happens. People pay for it. That payment is money. Money is proof that someone received value from what you did. You solved the problem, you met a need, you made life better for someone in some way, and then the money is proof that the other person saw worth in what you gave. But money is not the end. Money can be spent. Money can sit. Money can be wasted. Money can be used with care. But the next step is to turn money into capital. Capital is money with a job. It's money that's been set apart for some clear use or some clear purpose. It could be used to grow a business. It could be used to buy an asset. It could be kept ready for a future chance or a future opportunity. It could be placed where it could grow. It may be used to protect the family or the business. The key, though, is that it has been given a job. But even capital is not enough by itself. You also need a system. A system tells the capital how to work. It answers really simple questions like, where should the money go? What job should it do? When should it move? How can it stay ready? How can it keep growing? What happens when life changes? What happens when a good deal appears? Like, what happens when income slows? What happens when the market falls? A system gives an answer before the pressure comes. So the full path looks like this. Value creates money. Money becomes capital when it's given a job. Capital becomes stronger when it works inside a system. Or, said another way, value, money, capital, systems. That's the path. Value is what you create for others. Money is the proof that value was created. Capital is money with a job, and a system is the plan that tells the capital how to work. Most people stop at money. They earn it, they spend it, they save some, they invest some, then they repeat. But a wealth architect asks a different set of questions. What is the purpose of money? What is this money for? What job should it do? How should it work with the rest of what I own? How can I use it without putting everything else at risk? How can I make sure that I'm ready before I need to be? Those questions turn money into design. And that is where the work of a wealth architect begins. Think about a building site. You may see wood, steel, stone, glass, wire, pipes, tools, machines. Every piece may be useful. Every piece may be worth money. But a pile of good materials is not a building. The materials have to be placed together in the right order or the right sequence. Each piece has got to have a job. The walls have got to hold weight. The pipes have got to carry water. The wires have got to carry power. The roof has got to keep out the rain. The doors have got to allow people in and out. The parts have got to work together. That is what the plan is for. Your financial life is much the same way. A business can be valuable. A home can be valuable. Real estate can be valuable. Stocks can be valuable. Insurance may be valuable. But owning valuable things doesn't mean that you have built a system. You may have good parts. The question is whether the parts work together. What job does each one have? Which part gives you the cash when you need it? Which part is meant to grow? Which part protects the family? Which part protects the business? Which part is ready for a good deal? Which part can be reached without forcing you to sell something else? Which part keeps working when income slows? See, all of these are design questions. So picture two business owners who both make the same amount of money, both own a business, both have a home, both have investments, both have cash. On paper, they may look almost the same, but the first person cannot clearly say what each part is for. Money comes in and goes wherever the next need sends it. Cash gets moved from place to place. Assets are bought one at a time. When a large need appears, something may have to be sold. When a good deal appears, they may have to call the bank. The second person thinks differently. Each part has a job. Some money is kept ready. Some money is meant to grow. Some money protects against loss. Some money can be used when a good chance or an opportunity appears. The pieces were not chosen one at a time. They were chosen to work together. The two people may own many of the same things, but one owns a group of parts. The other has built a system. Their income may be the same. Their net worth may be the same, but their plan is not the same. Their level of control is not the same. Their ability to move is not the same. That is the difference between gathering assets and building wealth with care. A wealth architect does not only ask, what should I buy? A wealth architect asks, what job must be done? Then they choose the right tool for the job. In good times, almost every plan can look strong. The business is growing, and the markets are rising, banks are still willing to lend. Nothing urgent is asking for cash. It's during those times that it's easy to believe that the plan works. But calm times do not always tell the truth. Pressure does. You know what else tells the truth? A drop in income tells the truth. A lost client tells the truth. A market fall, a health problem, a sudden tax bill. A great deal that had to close fast tells the truth. Pressure shows what your money can really do. Can you reach it? Can you move it? Can you use it without selling something at the wrong time? Can you act without waiting for someone else to say yes? Better yet, can the rest of your plan keep working while one part is being used? Can your family remain safe while your business goes through a hard season? These are not questions that you want to answer for the first time during a crisis. That is why structure matters. Pressure does not create the weakness. Pressure reveals the weakness that was already there. A roof does not begin to leak because the storm was unfair. The storm shows where the roof was weak. The same is true with money. A person may look wealthy when nothing is being asked of their wealth. The real test comes when the money must move. This is where many successful entrepreneurs feel a really deep kind of strain. They know how to act. They've spent years learning how to make choices under pressure. They've built the skill to see a great opportunity and to move fast, but then their money cannot move with them. It's tied up or it's locked away or something's got to get sold. And it may take weeks or months to reach. So the person is ready. The deal's ready, but the money is not. That gap creates pain. You have become the kind of person who can move, but the way your money is built may still force you to wait. A wealth architect works to close that gap before pressure comes, not because every problem can be stopped, no way, but because the plan should not fail for reasons that could have been seen in advance. A wealth architect asks, what could place stress on this plan? Where could I be forced to sell? Where am I waiting on someone else? What happens if my income slows? What happens if a good opportunity appears tomorrow? What part of my plan keeps me calm? And what part gives me time? That is what a strong system is meant to do. It's not meant to remove every storm. It helps you stand when the storm comes. And once I began to see wealth in this way, I could no longer judge it by how much a person owned. I had to ask a better question. How does what they own behave when life applies pressure? This is what it means to become a wealth architect. A wealth architect begins with the person, because the person is the source. They build skill. They grow in wisdom. They learn how to solve harder problems. They learn how to help more people. They create value. That value brings money. Then they take care of that money that came from their work. They do not let every dollar drift toward the next want, bill, or piece of noise. Then they give their money a job. They turn their money into capital. Then they build a plan that tells that capital how to work. So the path is simple. Develop the person, create the value, take care of what the value brings, give the money a job, build a system. That is the work of a wealth architect. A wealth architect does not only ask, how much do I own? They ask, what can I create? What job does each part of my money have? How do all the parts work together? What happens when life changes? What happens when pressure appears? What happens when a great opportunity appears? Can I act? Can I choose? Can I move without tearing something else down? Like, these questions change the way a person sees money. Money stops being only something to earn, and it becomes something to guide. Assets stop being prizes. They become tools. Net worth stops being the only score. What matters is how well the whole plan works. A wealth architect is not known only by the size of what they own. They are known by the care with which they build. They are known by how well the plan and all of the parts work together. They're known by how their plan behaves when life becomes hard. They're known by their ability to act without panic. They're known by their ability to wait when waiting is wise. And they're known by their ability to move when the time is right. This does not happen by chance. It happens by design. And design begins with a choice. The choice is to stop treating money as a group of separate things. The choice to stop judging wealth only by its size. See, that is when someone stops being only an earner. They stop being only an owner, and they stop being only an investor. They become an architect, a wealth architect. So take a moment to look at your own life, not with shame, not with fear, not to tear down what you built. You've worked hard for it. You've solved real problems. You've served real people. You've carried weight, and you've earned the right to be proud of what you've done. But pride should not stop us from asking better questions. Have you built wealth? Or have you built a large group of valuable thingies? Does each part have a job? Do the parts work together? Can your money move when you are ready to move? Can you act when a great opportunity shows up? Can you reach what you need without being forced to sell at the wrong time? Can you explain how the whole thing works? Could your family explain it if you were not in the room? What happens when the storm comes? What happens when life does not follow the plan? These are not questions that are meant to scare you. These are questions that are meant to wake you up because pressure does not create a weak plan. Pressure shows you where the plan was weak all along. And a hard season is a painful time to learn that the things you own were never built to work together. The good news is that a plan can be changed. A new plan can be drawn. The parts can be given clear jobs. What you have built can be shaped with more care. Your money can begin to match the person you have become. You have already learned how to create value. You have already learned how to solve problems, and you have already learned how to carry risk and how to build. Now, I would say the question is whether you will bring that same care to the way that your money is built. That is the deeper work. Not only making more and not only owning more, not only watching that number grow, but becoming the kind of person who knows how to create value, care for what it brings, and build a system that can stand when life applies pressure. That is a wealth architect. And once you see wealth this way, it becomes hard to see it any other way. You've earned your income. Now it's time to earn your freedom by thinking the way wealth architects do, by building a system that works without you, and by protecting the one thing that you can never earn back, your time. If this hits home, subscribe. The channel is small for now, but not for long. I only teach what the wealthiest families and institutions actually do because they've figured out what works, and I think that you deserve the same. Keep building for the generations you won't meet until you meet in heaven. God bless.